Hi, it's Dennis again, and this is part 2 of my divorce from the gay community. I want to just start out by saying a couple of things. First, I do not want to diminish or dismiss the struggle, the journey that many of us have gone through in finding some acceptance and just finding some peace within ourselves in this whole thing and coming out and finding our place. For some of us, it was not easy. It was not easy at all. It was and for some, it's a lifetime struggle to fight some of the negative forces that come our way. And you know, we try. Many of us try to fit into the traditions of our family, of our ethnicity, of our whatever traditions they are. And sometimes it's a difficult fit. Sometimes it's a thread of the needle. So I do not want to diminish that, particularly those of us who were born at a different era, coming out in the 80s and 90s. For someone like me, was much more difficult, I think, for many in today's context. Although I do not think that it's true everywhere now. I think it's still very difficult. Again, certain ethnic traditions and religions and such make it more difficult to find that peace and acceptance. So making that real clear, I do not diminish. I am happy to talk about that. It is for some very difficult. For me, it was very difficult. So the next thing I wanted to also point out was when I do speak to the gay community as a whole, as sort of, the blob of a group, I do not imply or wish to imply that wonderful individuals do not exist, because there were some wonderful individuals that helped me a lot. One in particular, pretty much, he saved me from me, and he knew what I was going through. He went through similar things, and he was instrumental in helping me find my way. And it's not just one, right? There's loads of people within the community, despite all the headwinds that come from that culture. They still manage to be wonderful people. So that's what I wanted to really make clear. So the other thing I want to jump into is the gay community is like a lot of other groups where there is a power of a shared identity. The power of a shared identity within a group is incredibly powerful. You can see it in history, you can see it in cults, you can see it in nations, you can see these things where it can be a very insignificant part of who you are, your eye color. There was a famous experiment on that, where this aspect, this part of who you are, becomes the unifying element for you within that group, and you found a place, right? And that's the big lure. And I fell into that when I found the gay community, these gay people, this constant group of cliques within the group and all that. It was a wonderful feeling to have that freedom of who I was that I've been repressing, this whole idea of a sexuality that I've been sublimating and trying to make sense with. And there's an explosion, right, when you first come upon this group, and you're inundated with your senses, with the beauty and the sounds and the smells, and everything is just so magnificent, and the lure is you just can't say no when you're in a particular position where you don't have much, right? You're kind of searching, and you find this, and it's kaboom. But then, I said in the last video how you begin to feel, some of us begin to feel like there's something missing, like you're hungry for something more, and so you start feeling that sense of discomfort, and sometimes you just push it away, right? You just find something, the next shiny object to distract you. But again, that the power of the group is tremendous. And there also becomes a certain social dependency within that group, so that without them, you feel like you will be left alone in the desert, right? So you just can't leave them, no matter how abused you might be. And I'm not saying everybody's being abused, but within you, you feel like you're not getting what you need. Okay, I'll leave it at that. And you still will stay with it because of the sense of not having the group, of not being with them, is just too much to bear. So you'll put up with stuff. You'll put up with terrible things, and you'll actually learn to just say, okay, it's fine, it's part of it. These are the things that keep us there. The thing that pulls us away is when we start thinking on our own, right? And that's actually where the solution to all this comes, as far as I'm concerned. You begin to learn your own individuality. Now, it's funny because I'm thinking, well, you go from being a me, I to individuality, but it's different, right? What I'm talking about is self-reliant individuality. That is not being dependent on a group or another person. Emerson said something, I might be getting a little bit wrong, but he said, to imitate is to commit suicide. And what he meant by that was when you take on the aspects or the characteristics of someone else, right? Because you want to be them, right? You see, I gotta be like that person, right? You start just imitating them. You're giving up yourself. You're killing your own individuality in favor of somebody else's, right? And so Emerson knew that, and he went through this actually with church groups and stuff when he had a big revelation and stuff. But anyway, the point is that you need to find your own individuality, self-reliant, who you are. You'll make mistakes, you'll screw things up, you'll learn from them, and you go to the next thing and all that. And take a little bit from this one and take a little bit of that one. And you say, oh, that's pretty interesting, and you learn and you grow, right? But it is that self-reliant individuality is where you will find your own way, your own peace, and you'll be okay with being not always with a group, right? You can be with people, right? But there's also nothing wrong with being alone, right? I'm perfectly happy, walking in the woods with my dog. And when my partner comes, that's even better. But anyway, the thing is where you find your place without a group that is taking from who you are, you will find greater peace, right? You will, and so I also wanted to really quick, some people in comments saying, oh, you're getting it all wrong, these people are wonderful and all that. So I'm not getting it all wrong. And you know exactly what I mean when I'm talking about the values of being youth, having youth being a value, and beauty and money. You know what I'm talking about. Walk right now down this main street of Provincetown, and in 10 minutes you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. So, people will doggedly defend the group just because that's what they feel compelled to do. But the truth is, you know what I'm talking about. And so I do offer a solution. I think I'll have a next video on pride, right? And that was another thing in the comments a little bit. And my take on pride and why I don't think pride is particularly good. Thank you.